Good evening and many thanks for joining us. This is QTV Nightly News with me, Answana Esonyase. And a reminder that you can also join us on K Radio 103.3 FM. Here are the main news headlines. Ex-military officer Abdullahi Sanyang has been formally charged and arraigned at Kanifing Magistrates Court with a number of allegations including arson, sedition, incitement to violence and offences related to judicial proceedings. Gambia participates in collaboration with the Center for Policy Research and Strategic Studies on Thursday presented the findings of a nationwide opinion poll on the 2026 presidential election in the Gambia. The National Human Rights Commission's National Perception Survey on the implementation of the TRRC White Paper has found that less than 7% of the 263 recommendations have been fully implemented to date. And in international news, on the second day of the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, the Gambian delegation joined African leaders and international partners to discuss Africa-Japan Economic Cooperation. Well, stay tuned as we bring you more on these and other stories. And now here's news in detail. Now, ex-military officer Abdullahi Sanyang has been formally charged and arraigned at Kanifing Magistrates Court with a number of allegations, including arson, sedition, incitement to violence and offences related to judicial proceedings. More in this report by Nicholas Bass of the Voice newspaper, narrated by our Bob.
Ex-military officer Abdullahi Sanyang was arrested on Sunday, 17 August 2025 at Banjul International Airport following remarks he made during a radio interview on Coffee Time with Peter Gomez on West Coast Radio on 14 August 2025, which was also broadcast online. Sanyang appeared at the Kanifing Magistrates Court on Thursday and was arraigned before Magistrate Thomas Toure. According to court records, he faces 4 charges including arson, sedition, incitement of violence and offences related to judicial proceedings. According to the particulars of the offence in Court 1, Sanyang allegedly sometime in 2016 in the Kanifing municipality willfully and unlawfully participated in planning and setting fire to the National Bureau of the Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction. Count 2 alleges that on or about 14 August 2025, at West Coast Radio in Kotu, Sanyang, with intent to bring hatred, contempt or disaffection against the President of the Republic of the Gambia, he made comments on Coffee Time, the radio program, alleging that President Barrow was deeply involved in electoral malpractice during the 2021 presidential election. When the case was called on Thursday, Assistant Commissioner M. Kamara, representing the Inspector General of Police, requested that the matter be transferred to the High Court due to lack of jurisdiction, and the request was granted. Defense lawyer Lamin J. Dabo represented the accused. For QTV News, I am our Bob.
Now, Gambia participates in collaboration with the Center for Policy Research and Strategic Studies (CEPRAS) on Thursday presented the findings of a nationwide opinion poll on the 2026 presidential election in the Gambia. Mamadou Kachaga reports.
The nationwide public opinion survey collected insights on major political issues, including President Barrow's third-term bid, the likelihood of Ousainou Darboe entering the race, who might lead a prospective coalition, and whether Talib Ahmed Bensouda should run even in the absence of a party endorsement. According to Gambia Participates, the opinion poll covered all 53 electoral constituencies in the country, capturing the views of 1,556 individuals, age 18 and above. These are some of the findings revealed by Amadou Kumare, Monitoring and Evaluation Officer at Gambia Participates.
The following question is, if the president runs for in the 2026 election, will you vote for him? So this is a conditional, right? Given that he runs, will you vote for him? So 19% say yes, 60% say no, and 20% are undecided.
The overall results from the opinion poll indicate that a majority of respondents, 55%, do not believe President Barrow should contest for a third term in the 2026 presidential election. This suggests a prevailing sentiment against extending his tenure beyond the current constitutional period.
35% say yes, 55% say no, and 10% say they're not sure. So that question is related to the third term bid of the president.
The survey also gauged public opinion on whether Ousainou Darboe should contest the 2026 presidential election. According to the report, the majority of respondents felt that he should not run.
So these questions are related to opposition leadership. So if Mr. Ousainou Darboe should contest in the elections, so we have 28% yes, 58% no, and 13% not sure.
The opinion on the viability of a potential coalition winning the 2026 presidential election indicated that a majority of respondents, 55% overall, believe a political coalition involving Talib Bensouda, Essam Baifal, and Mama Kandeh could win the 2026 presidential election. Only 16% disagree with this possibility, while 29% remain uncertain. Regarding who stands a better chance of winning the 2026 presidential election, the survey found that 31% of respondents favor Adama Barrow, 18% supported Talib Bensouda, 12% choose Ousainou Darboe, 3% backed Essam Baifal, and 3% preferred Mama Kandeh, while 29% said they were undecided. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News.
Now, the National Human Rights Commission's National Perception Survey on the implementation of the TRRC White Paper has found that less than 7% of the 200 and 63 recommendations have been fully implemented to date. The slow progress has left many victims frustrated and still awaiting justice. Julian Jai has more.
The National Perception Survey report was unveiled during a validation session on Thursday. Since the release of the TRRC White Paper in May 2022, which outlined the government's commitment to implementing its recommendations, progress has been slow and uneven. Of the 263 recommendations, only 16 have been fully implemented. 192 are partially implemented or still in progress, and 55 have not been addressed at all. Emmanuel Daniel Diouf, chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission, says the TRRC was the most important milestone in Gambia's transitional justice process. Therefore, commitment must translate into sustained action in order to restore trust, heal wounds, and strengthen democracy.
It's against this background that the NHRC, with the general support of the Peace Building Fund, through UNDP and Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, commissioned this perception survey undertaken by CEPRAS. The objective was simple, but yet crucial. It was to listen to victims, to listen to institutions, and the wider Gambian public on how they perceive the progress, the challenges, the opportunities in the implementation of the TRRC recommendations.
Feedback gathered during NHRC's consultations and from the new perception survey shows that many feel left behind and frustrated by the lack of urgency in delivering long-promised justice, reparations, and institutional reforms. Marinjai Adams, the National Project Coordinator, Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, says the report is not only timely but also critical in helping state institutions make policies and decisions that are based on human rights and centered on victims.
As stipulated in the UN Basic Principles and Guidelines on the right to a remedy and reparation, victims have the right to equal and effective access to justice, adequate, effective, and prompt reparation for harm suffered, and access to relevant information concerning violations and reparations mechanisms.
Seni Cisse, UNDP representative, and Carl Frederick Pohl commended the government for accepting the majority of the TRRC recommendations, but emphasized that significant work remains. They reaffirmed their commitment to continue supporting the Gambia throughout this implementation process.
The survey reminds us that the journey is not yet complete. Many victims and communities continue to express concerns about the pace of implementation, the need for timely reparation, and the importance of transparent communication and inclusive participation.
It is only through a transparent dialogue, as we are doing today, collaboration between state institutions, civil society, and the Commission, and a steadfast support from the development partners that the Gambia will succeed in consolidating peace, strengthening democracy, and ensuring that never again the rights of its citizens will be violated, leaving no one behind.
As the Gambia advances its post-dictatorship transformation, the credibility of the transitional justice process remains at stake. For QTV News, I am Julden Yai.
The report there by Julian Jai will lead us to a commercial break, but when we return, we have more national and international news stories. Do stay tuned.
Supersonics Islamic Insurance ñooy jël benn digital insurance provider ci Gambia bu ànda sharia ñoo leen isil wécceeku technology yu xarañ ànd ak dal ba seen bunti kër yi amal nañ leen bépp façon ngi insurance service boo soxla pour ngeen mun a am xel bu dal ak kaaraange saa yoo leen ko soxlee su fekkee yaa ngi kër ci yoon wala ci business ak Supersonics Islamic Insurance Limited ñëwal nga bokk ci suñ bànneexi liggéey nga xam fu ñu feetoo oo ñu ci +220 5132 319 5132 318 wala 5132 315 wala nga email ñu info@supersonicsinsurance.com wala book nga seetu ñu suñ website bi www.supersonicsinsurance.com wala nga seet si ñu Beka Plaza 56 Liberation Avenue, Banjul.
Browse with us. QCell brings you a promo like never before. Get unlimited internet for just $25 Cs. Yes! Recharge $25 Cs and enjoy the convenience of free internet from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. every day with our Browse with Us promo. With this amazing offer, you can browse, stream, and download all your favorite movies for free. So why wait? Recharge $25 Cs today and enjoy free internet only with QCell between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. For more information, call customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Bus, we innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. Following the commercial break, be reminded you're watching QTV Nightly News coming to you live from our studios on Kairaba Avenue. Now, former Cabinet Secretary Ibrahim Cisse returned to the National Assembly's Special Select Committee on Thursday, a day after his initial testimony, to continue giving evidence in the ongoing inquiry into the disposal of former President Jammeh's assets. Yafatu Gay tells us more.
Testifying before lawmakers on Wednesday, Mr. Cisse outlined his role as Cabinet Secretary, a position he assumed on 8 December 2017. He explained that his core duties involved reviewing cabinet papers, coordinating meetings, and ensuring ministry submissions were properly processed for consideration. He noted that the office was under considerable strain at the time, as it was initially staffed only by himself, a secretary, and a record officer. Responding to questions on the independence of the Janneh Commission, Mr. Cisse firmly stated that he had no operational involvement with the Commission, its secretariat, or its lead counsel. He emphasized that cabinet decisions were made collectively, not by any single individual.
Once you assumed your office, I'm sure you briefed yourself of the current issues that you will be saddled with.
Let me also help you. In the Gambia here, cabinet office is very small. You have, then when I became secretary to cabinet in 2017, I was the only administrative staff. Then together with one secretary and one record officer.
The session saw a tense exchange between Mr. Cisse and Consul Diba over inconsistencies in his earlier statements on commissions of inquiry. Mr. Cisse admitted minor clarifications but maintained that his testimony was accurate. He reiterated that his role was strictly administrative and not extended to the operational work of the commissions. When asked whether he had any role in inventory taking, preparatory sales of assets, or dealing with buyers, Mr. Cisse firmly replied in the negative.
Mr. Counsel, I made that submission earlier this morning.
I want you to take it again.
Yes, I will always reorient you.
Please do.
That is, cabinet decisions are collective decisions. It's not an individual.
So is there any instance where it's an individual?
It cannot be individual.
So it's always collective?
I urge you to take the revised cabinet manual of 2022.
Mr. Cisse continued his testimony by elaborating on the function of the cabinet papers, describing them as formal submissions from ministries seeking collective cabinet approval for specific policies, decisions or actions. With respect to the Janneh Commission, he explained that Cabinet's role was limited to reviewing related submissions, such as disposal of tractors and other seized assets, with final decisions always taken collectively. Lawmakers, however, pressed him to clarify his earlier testimony, questioning whether the Ministry of Justice had interfered in Cabinet decisions or directed a halt to the sales of tractors. They further demanded explanations as to why the tractor sales were stopped at the MSA Quarter Workshop.
I'm not seeing the issue of interference. I stated that the minister informed the meeting that he is going to check with the commission whether it's going to be possible to halt and then also for those institutions to benefit from the tractors.
The special committee is set to continue its hearing, further investigating the management of Jambe's assets. Reporting for QTV News, this is Yafa Tugay.
And coming up next is international news in a moment. Now, on the second day of the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD 9, in Japan, the Gambia delegation joined several African heads of state, foreign ministers, and international partners to deliberate on the economic dimension of the Africa-Japan partnership. Mamnabuka has the rest of that story.
The conference kicked off on August 20th in Yokohama in Japan, driven by Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba's proposal of a new Indian Ocean Africa Economic Zone in a bid to deepen ties with Africa. Among other initiatives, the Economic Zone proposal aims to link economies across the Indian Ocean with African nations to advance sustainable development and help tackle Africa's mounting financial burdens. On the second day of the conference, delegates convened in a plenary session to examine the economic dimension of the Africa-Japan partnership. The discussions come at a critical moment as global economic uncertainty and emerging industrial transformations call for bold action and strategic collaboration. Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, highlighted the urgent need to diversify Africa's export markets.
We call on Japanese counterpart companies to support tariff cooperation to ease market access for African goods. We seek partnership in infrastructure, in energy, in digital development through blended finance. We also seek partnerships in financing skills development, youth innovation, and small business scaling. Africa is not seeking aid, it is seeking partners, and that is why we are here. Partners that understand value creation, sustainable development, and mutual industrialization.
Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations, expressed confidence in Africa's potential for advanced progress.
With the world's youngest population, abundant natural resources, and a vibrant entrepreneurial spirit, Africa is poised for progress. We have the roadmap, the 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals, and the African Union's Agenda 2063. Let's co-create solutions that can build a future of dignity, opportunity, and peace for all.
The conference, which ends tomorrow, 22nd August, will highlight an ongoing and increasing collaboration between Japan's public and private sectors to boost investment in Africa, with a strong focus on developing the private sector and empowering young people and women across the continent. Mamna Buka, reporting for QTV News.
Now also in international news, World Mosquito Day is observed annually on August 20th to commemorate the 1897 discovery by British doctor Sir Ronald Rush, who revealed that female Anopheles mosquitoes transmit malaria parasites to humans. Jacqueline Coley reports.
World Mosquito Day is mainly observed by health organizations, research institutes, and malaria eradication campaigns to raise awareness about mosquito-borne diseases such as malaria, dengue, Zika, yellow fever, and chikungunya, which still impact millions of people worldwide. The day also promotes prevention efforts including mosquito control, use of bed nets, vaccines, and public health campaigns, while recognizing scientific progress in combating these diseases and encouraging continued research. More than 125 years after World Mosquito Day was founded in 1897, mosquito-borne diseases continue to claim over 1 million lives and infect nearly 700 million people annually, almost 1 in every 10 worldwide. While Anopheles mosquitoes are responsible for transmitting malaria, another species, Aedes, spreads illnesses such as dengue. Dengue alone reached record levels in 2024 with more than 14 million reported cases and nearly 12,000 deaths. In 2025, 3.6 million cases and over 1,900 deaths have already been recorded across 94 countries, with the Pacific region hit particularly hard as Samoa, Fiji, Tonga, and the Cook Islands declared outbreaks. Since March this year, scientists at Imperial College London have been working on genetic modification that could make malaria-transmitting mosquitoes resistant to the parasite. If successful, the genetic modification developed by the Transmission Zero team could provide a long-term solution by ensuring that future generations of mosquitoes are incapable of transmitting malaria. The Gambia has made significant strides in reducing malaria incidence, with a 70% decline in cases over the past decade, according to the U.S. President's Malaria Initiative. Despite the progress, challenges remain. The Gambia's National Malaria Strategic Plan 2021-2025 aims to shift from controlling malaria to its elimination with a focus on comprehensive program coverage in high transmission areas. The MRC unit The Gambia, part of the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, is a premier research institution focused on tackling malaria and other infectious diseases in sub-Saharan Africa. In 2024, the unit marked a major milestone in malaria control with the inauguration of an insectary in Fajara. This state-of-the-art facility allows researchers to study mosquito behavior and develop more effective vector control strategies, advancing innovative approaches to fight malaria and other mosquito-borne illnesses across the region. For KTV News, I am Jacqueline Coley.
And I'm afraid that's all about it for this bulletin. But before we take a leave of you, here's a recap from main headlines. Ex-military officer Abdullahi Sanyang has been formally charged and arraigned at Kanifing Magistrates Court with a number of allegations including arson, sedition, incitement to violence, and offences related to judicial proceedings. Gambia participates in collaboration with the Center for Policy Research and Strategic Studies. On Thursday presented the findings of a nationwide opinion poll on the 2026 presidential election in the Gambia. And the National Human Rights Commission National Perception Survey on the implementation of the TRRC White Paper has found that less than 7% of the 263 recommendations have been fully implemented to date. And in international news, on the second day of the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, the Gambia delegation joined African leaders and international partners to discuss Africa-Japan Economic Cooperation. That's it for this bulletin. To join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin.